So now we have some examples of absolute value equations that we're going to solve. They've got a little more involved. So the first thing you want to do when you have an absolute value equation is you have to, step one, you have to isolate the absolute value. Isolate the absolute value, okay? That's the symbol for absolute. I better write out absolute value. Well, I'll abbreviate it. Okay, so isolate, that's the word I'm using there. So see how there's this -1 kind of hanging out there? You gotta get rid of that. So add 1 to both sides. And now you have 3x minus 5, the absolute value of that. The absolute value symbol is 2 straight lines, and this is the way it types with how I have it typed. I mean, I wish they were a little longer, but they're not. Sorry. Okay, but that's, just make sure you know they're not ones. Okay, so the absolute value of 3x minus 5 equals 7. Now, once you have the absolute value isolated, you can make your 2 cases. So you have 2 cases. You have a positive case and a negative case. Either 3x minus 5 equals negative 7, or 3x minus 5 equals the positive 7. So if you think about it, what's inside this part right in here, we're saying, well, if that were a negative 7, no problem. Absolute value of negative 7 is 7. But if that stuff that I have circled in green, if it equals positive 7, no problem. Absolute value of 7 is 7. So you get these 2 cases, and then you're going to solve each case separately. That's supposed to say each case separately, because you will get different answers, and sometimes people get confused on that, and then they get the same answer. Okay, so, I mean, I guess you could get the same answer at some point, but anyway, add 5 to both sides. So we're still kind of reviewing our solving equation skills. 3x equals negative 2, divide by 3, and you get x equals negative 2/3. So that's one case. And I'm just going to put a box around it. You can put it in set notation. I can do that over to the side in a minute. Okay, add 5 to both sides. I get 3x equals 12. Divide both sides by 3. And I get x equals 4. So I get 2 different answers. And here's the set notation. We would put set negative 2/3 is one answer, and 4 is the other answer. And I'm really used to using the set notation, so a lot of times I use that. Okay, so yeah, solve each case separately. And somehow you're going to write your answer. Now you're going to be working in WebAssign, so you'll follow their directions. They may put the set notation, or they may just have you list the answers. So. Okay, so here's another example, example 3. In step 1, isolate the absolute value. So I'm going to add 4. I feel like we're doing a lot of review, so I'm writing these steps out. At some point, I'll probably drop that. So I get that. And then see that 3 in front of the absolute value? I want to get rid of that too. So I'm going to divide by 3. And now I have the absolute value of x minus 4 equals 4. So now I've got the absolute value part isolated. It's all by itself. Now I can make my 2 cases. So x minus 4 equals 4. I'm sorry, I always put the negative on that side. X minus 4 equals negative 4, or x minus 4 equals positive 4. And so I have those 2 cases. So if I add 4 to both sides, I think I get x equals 0. Okay, that's okay. 0 is a fine answer. And if I add 4 to both sides here, I get x equals 8. And so those are the 2 answers right there. I'm going to go ahead and do the set notation. 0, 8. Let's see, I was going to say one more thing. I don't remember what it was. Okay. So we've got another one. Well, I'm going to have to subtract that 9. Maybe I have something. Okay, so I have the absolute value of 3/4 x minus 5, absolute value, equals negative 5. Now, if you're worried about the 3/4, don't worry about that. It's inside the absolute value. So I have the absolute value isolated. So step 1, complete, right? Now, I would make my two cases, except, I guess this is like the exception to the rule. I don't care what the absolute value is, it's not going to equal a negative number. So there's no solution here. So the good news is we don't have to do any more work. Or you can write it as with the empty set. This symbol is for the empty set. You can also use this to represent the empty set, but I usually use a circle with a line through it. Okay, so it seemed like a normal problem at first when we started, but we can't have an absolute value equal in your negative number, so you're going to have to check for that. Okay, good luck.